Once in a while, a movie comes along that I really want to talk about, and Wicked is that movie right now. So let's talk a little bit about Wicked, the movie. Some of you may have been following my channel all the way back 5 or 6 years ago when I reviewed The Grimmery, Wicked, The Grimmery, the souvenir book from the show, which I went to see in the West End in London with my wife. It was actually the second time that we saw the show together. The first time was literally the night before my wife gave birth. So we've got some very strong memories around this show, around the music, which followed us throughout the early years of our son's life. Our son was born with a number of disabilities, and so those early years were kind of difficult with both my parents and my wife's parents in other countries. We didn't really have a network of support, as it were. And so during that time, the music of Wicked, which we played on a loop after the show, really gave us that base of it's going to be okay. You can be strong about this kind of thing, right? So yeah, a very, very important show for us, a very important musical. Now, when I heard that they were going to be making a film version of Wicked, I thought to myself, oh my goodness, it's, 15 years later, is it going to be okay? Are they going to bring it up to modern standards? Change the lyrics, God forbid. Maybe the core, very progressive message isn't beating the viewer over the head enough, and so maybe they're going to change it and maybe it's going to be awful. And then Cynthia Erivo, of course, made those unfortunate comments, which of course blew up on social media, which really did nothing to reassure me. But then last weekend, I was able to go and see the show at the IMAX with my family, and oh my goodness, it was everything that I hoped for, and much more, in fact. It's funny, all of the reviews that I saw working up to the film were from people who started off their reviews by saying, I don't like musical comedies. Of course, I haven't seen the show. I went to see Wicked, and actually it was quite good.
I've never seen the Broadway musical. I've never listened to the soundtrack, and I don't really know anything about the story. To top it off, if I were to pinpoint a genre of film that tends to be lower on my list of favorites to watch, it's musicals.
And then, of course, it became a stage musical. I haven't seen the stage musical because I'm not a big musical theatre goer. I don't like it. I just don't go very much. So,
and now, if you didn't know this about me, I have about one musical in me per year. Looks like this is it. And if you couldn't tell by my earlier statements, I haven't seen the play. I haven't read the book.
There wasn't a single review of someone saying, do you know what? I know the show, I love the show, and this met my expectations. Like everyone was like, no, I hate musical comedies, but this was all right. To me, someone who says, I hate musical comedies after having seen maybe 2 or 3 musical comedies in their life is a little bit like someone saying, I hate video games after having played 2 or 3 video games in their life. It's possible that Donkey Kong and Dark Souls that you got to play are not representative of video games. And in the same way, The Sound of Music and that awful film production of Les Miserables, that's not representative of musical comedies. If you want to see good musical comedies, actually Wicked is the one that I always have recommended to my friends. If you're going to the West End or if you're going to Broadway, don't waste your money watching one of those soulless Disney productions. Go and watch Wicked. It's fantastic. So let's talk a little bit about the film. The first thing that surprised me was that it was just the first half of the show, and yet it's almost 3 hours long. Actually, going in, I was thinking to myself, how are they going to make the first half of the show 3 hours long? I was joking with my wife, maybe they're just going to play it really slowly. But that's not what happens. What happens is that you get a little bit more deeply into the world, a little bit more deeply into the lives of the protagonists. There's a lot more dialogue, there's a lot more establishing shots, etc., etc. All of this takes time, and it's okay. The show is very cohesive, very tight. It's a different format, it's a different medium. You're sitting in a chair in front of a live production. And so, of course, they're giving you the story in a much more compact format. Here it's a film, so they can take their time establishing the world, giving you insights into the environment, into the actual conversation between the people, like the kind of unspoken subtleties of people's communications, which you can't see on a stage, of course, but when the camera zooms in on it, then this is something extra, then it takes time. And so the first half of the show takes, yes, almost 3 hours, but they are 3 hours of delight, real delight. What I'd really like to say for fans of the show is that all your favorite bits from the show, all those beats, those things that you love about the show, the bits that make you smile, the funny bits, the sad bits, the poignant bits, the empowering bits, all of that, it's all there. It's all in the film. And I'm so, so glad. And they haven't tried to change anything. Everything is just enhanced. It's the show, just bigger. So what more can you ask for? There was one little problem that I had, and it's the final song, Defying Gravity, and it's the most powerful, biggest song of the entire show. It's the one that you remember when you go home. It's the signature song of the entire show. And the director made a choice to spread it over quite a long time. I think the whole scene lasts about, 10, 15 minutes. And you're just getting couple of lines of the song at a time. So if you're seeing it for the first time, it doesn't really feel strange. But if you know the song, if you love the song, if you've kind of lived the song for 15 years, you just want them to sing the song. You get 2 lines and then some more action happens, and then 2 more lines and then some more action happens. It kind of works. But I just wanted to hear the song, and to me it kind of dampened the impact of that song, which, as I say, is like the most powerful song of the entire show. But that is my only criticism. It's my only criticism, and in such an enormous production, that's quite something. And for something that's so dear to me, again, that's really quite something. One particular aspect of the movie that I really appreciated was the choreography, the vivacity of the choreography. It was very, very impactful. And it made me think of the style of choreography from another musical comedy called Spirited, which is an Apple TV exclusive. If you haven't seen it, folks, just, find Spirited. If you've enjoyed Wicked and you're looking for musical comedies that don't suck, then yes, Spirited is possibly another one to look into. To the point that I actually checked to see if there was the same choreographer, but no, the choreographer for Wicked is Christopher Scott. Fantastic choreography throughout, just really entertaining to watch. And that's another thing, dance isn't for everyone, but when it's done properly, then yes, it can be for everyone, as this film demonstrates. This isn't bloody La La Land, which I was just cringing all the way through. No, all musical comedies aren't awful. Some are actually good. There you go. Now, of course, I can't call this a review without talking about the performances of the actors. Cynthia Erivo is absolutely perfect. She completely embodies the character of Elphaba. She does it to perfection. As a great actor should, you don't see the actor, you see the character. And that is, you couldn't ask for anything more than that. She's got a fantastic voice, and she really brings the feels. The emotions that come through are absolutely on point for Elphaba, because Elphaba isn't a perfect character who happens to have green skin. She is a vulnerable, real human being, and that comes through. It's really to the whole creative team's credit that they allowed that to happen. And Cynthia Erivo pulls it off to perfection. Ariana Grande is probably the biggest surprise of the show. She hits all of the comedic beats to perfection. And of course, if she doesn't have the voice to carry off Galinda's part, then who does? And she also carries off those subtle moments where this privileged airhead, let's be honest, comes to a realization that everything's not perfect in her world after all. And this, again, comes through beautifully, perfectly. It's impeccable. I think Michelle Yeoh was a great choice for Madame Marable. She doesn't have the voice to sing, but then she only sings a little bit. As the character, she's absolutely ideal. And of course, I can't think of a better casting for the great and wonderful Wizard of Oz than Jeff Goldblum, who plays the role of this demagogue, slimy politician who's happy to just throw a wide portion of his country's inhabitants under the bus just to keep the rest of the population's attention away from the fact that he's completely incompetent.
The best way to bring folks together is to give them a real good enemy.
And if you've recently seen Chaos on Netflix, where Jeff Goldblum plays Zeus, a very similar character, just too much power and completely egoistical, with no regards for anyone's well-being than his own, but all with the most charming smile, then you'll know how good Jeff Goldblum is in this role. Which leads me to a thought about a meme that I've seen going around about witchcraft being inherently political. Now, those Foolish Fish Patreon members, thank you so much to all of you, by the way, who have joined my Discord server, will notice in the rules, which you are asked to read as soon as you arrive, that while the world does need a platform for discussing politics, my Discord server is not the right place to do that. And some people see that as a problem because witchcraft is inherently political, in a way that this film clearly demonstrates. Now, unfortunately, as you've probably seen on social media in past weeks, anytime politics is introduced to the conversation, it takes over the entire conversation. And this is the reason why anyone who brings up politics on the Foolish Fish Discord is immediately removed from the Discord, because we're there to talk about the magic. How can you employ your magic for political means if you've spent your entire time talking about politics and the magic never got a say? So that's the reason why on the Foolish Fish Discord, there is no politics allowed at any point. What you then do with the magic that you are hopefully empowered with is then your responsibility. And it is a great responsibility. And of course, your first responsibility is to educate yourself. Open a history book. Find out what happens when demagogues come to power. Learn about their methods. Understand who they start off by discrediting. The Elphabas of this world who attempt to point the finger at their incompetence. So yes, this is a deeply, deeply relevant movie for all magic practitioners. And beyond that, it's very relevant for magic practitioners as well, because you get to see the whole range of people attempting to master magic and utterly failing. And then Elphaba, whose magic skills are inherent, but completely uncontrolled. And the process of getting her magic under control is equated to the process of getting her emotions under control, which leads me back to that theme of mastery of magic, starting with mastery of self. So yes, a hugely entertaining film. Go and see it if you can. In the meantime, I just want to say a big thank you to everyone who supports this channel. Thank you so, so much for keeping the channel alive. All of the Patreon and YouTube membership supporters of the channel, thank you so, so much. Naturally, a particularly big thank you goes out to all the Level Infinity members: David Venturini, Caitlin Kopok, Linda Hendricks, Stephen Hunter, Susanna Redelfs, and Thomas. Thank you so much for your support. It means the world to me and to my family. And also a big thank you to all the Level 3 Magister Venerabilis members who get included in my daily planetary ritual, of course, whose names you can see scrolling up on the left over here. Once again, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't done so already. If you'd like to have a one-to-one video conversation with me, for me to read your tarot or to talk about your spiritual progress, get book recommendations, or whatever conversation you'd like, then the links to do that can be found down below as well. Please look after yourselves, look after each other, and see you very soon with another video. Bye.